heard you talk about license before, and that they couldn't license anything that wasn't lawful.
Right.
And I'm a little confused about that because according to Black's Law Dictionary, it defines, and even actually the Webster's Dictionary defines license basically. The Black's Law definition basically goes something like a license is permission issued by a competent authority to do something that would otherwise be unlawful, a trespass, or a tort.
Right. Because they're trying to say that if it's licensed, they can't give you a license to say what Hitler did. He gave all his prison guards a license to kill Jewish women and children. So the prison guards were like, well, at least we got a license to kill. You know, that James Bond kind of guy. So it's like, no, you can't just, no matter what the license says to do, if it's unlawful, you can't do it. I don't care what that license says. You've got to use your own common sense to realize, is this license going to cause harm to somebody else? Yes. Well, then I can't. This license is ridiculous. So they can't issue a license to something that would be otherwise unlawful. So it has to be lawful to drive. It has to be lawful to transport your body from point A to point B. So then they say, okay, well, we just want to put some sort of regulations or ordinances on your capacity to move, property from point A to point B so you don't cause harm to others in society. So like I said, I really don't have a problem with the licensing process in this country. I really don't, because it's not really too extreme of what they make you hoops to jump through. And, you wouldn't want somebody to just get in an airplane. Well, maybe some people do. Maybe some people are totally Freeman and Montana style and said, yes, if I would have walked to an airport tomorrow, I'm a millionaire, I pay $1 million for an airplane, I'm just going to take off on the runway and go that way. Now you crash into a whole bunch of people's homes. It's like, well, a man should just be able to pay $1 million, get on an airplane and go that way. And if he crashes into people's homes and dies, well, hopefully he's got an estate that's going to pay for all the damage. Like, no, to me, that's crazy. I don't want to live in that kind of society. Now, anarchists want that kind of society. Like people like Mark Stevens, like No State Project, he wants to live in that society. I don't want that kind of society. But if I did, I'd go live on Gilligan's Island or something like that, and everybody could just fly helicopters and airplanes into everybody. I was like, oh well, we're doing what we want to do over here. So like I said, that's where I showed you folks my website where I live. I live up in the freaking mountains. Like I said, with U.S. Marshals can find me. I'm going to put that audio tape between me and the Marshals and my sister on my website so people can tell the truth. Like the Marshals said, we've been looking for you, we can't find you. Are you going to come in? Are you going to come in? Or we got to come looking for you? What are you going to do? I'm going to put that on there so you folks can tell. This is the society I chose to live in. I'm in the middle of freaking nowhere. I mean, I couldn't imagine anybody ever asking me to see my driver's license.
I kind of looked at it like a doctor, an MD. He has a license to, my mom's on blood thinners, which is basically rat poisoning. And he has a license where he could give my mom rat poisoning, which could kill her, and not go to jail. And but if I gave her rat poisoning and killed her, then I would be a murderer. I think actually what it really comes down to is consent. Because like I told her, you don't have to go to him, you don't have to consent, because the first day she walked in to get it, he said, are you ready for your rat poisoning? I said, he just gave you full disclosure. You don't have to consent to it. So actually, I guess if she consented to me to give her rat poisoning, and we had a mutual consent that she has rights to her property of her body and to deal with who she wants to with it, I could give her rat poisoning and not go to jail.
But the big thing of it is when you travel, the authority that gives you the right to travel is what people would say is God. The government doesn't give you the authority to travel. God gave you legs, so that's prima facie evidence of proof that we have the right to travel because God gave us legs. That's the authority that proves that we can travel. Now, if we can create a wheel to aid our feet in travel, well, God gave us the capacity to have hands and a mind to imagine and dream of a wheel. That's where we got our authority from. Inherent rights. That God gave us this capacity to do this, we're going to do it. Just like a bird has the right to fly. So for us to say, well, we're going to disable all birds, we're going to cut their wings off. what right do we have to do that? Well, that's because we got a gun and we can force birds to not fly anymore because we don't like pigeons flying around and pooping on our cars anymore. So they'll live, but, they're going to have to stay in this little designated area that the government provides them, and the government provides welfare for these pigeons, so they don't cause harm to the people by pooping on people's windows. What gives us really the right to do that to something that God created, and they have the inherent right to be left the hell alone? So that's the way I look at licenses. Who gives you the authority to tell me what to do? You see what I'm saying? It's a private contract, because when people don't understand there's only 3 rights established in the Constitution, then you had the Bill of Rights, because people were like, why should we put any more Bill of Rights? It's all there in those 3 rights in the Constitution. But they were like, yeah, but people don't really understand those 3 rights, because the first right is no ex post facto laws to be legislated, which is kind of a silly thing. It's just basically saying that if we got caught smoking cigarettes now, it's a death penalty. And ex post facto means like, well, if anybody in the past history of the United States smoked, if they're still alive, we could execute them today because they broke the law that did not exist back then. That's ex post facto law. The other law is no bill of attainder may be, attended, which means because your great-grandpappy owed a debt, you can't be held liable or go to jail for what your great-grandparents did, your parents did. So, and then the only other right that's established in the Constitution is under Article 1, Section 10, which clearly says that the government has no right to interfere with contract. Contract is basically, as soon as you walk out the door, and you get in your car, start driving down the road, you're in a contract. You're in a contract with the people in society. You're not going to drive crazy. You're not going to go zigzag. You're not going to go 90 miles an hour through the school zone. You're not going to scare buzz little old ladies by nailing a horn when she's crossing. There's a social contract going on here. So they basically said, the people who wrote the Constitution, it's like, people in the future can't be this stupid that they don't know what a contract is. We already established the right to not interfere with anybody's contract. Anytime they engage within their society, their groups, or their rules of society, they're going to have a social contract. And they're like, well, you know what? People might not be that sharp. They might not realize what a contract is. So why don't we establish some rights and call it a Bill of Rights? So people are like, well, this is stupid. What do you think? People in the future are going to be stupid? And they actually have to be told they have the right to free speech, and they have to have the right to have a gun, and they have the right to be secure in their papers? Are you telling me that they don't understand what, the government has no right to interfere with a contract or engage with private contracts? The government is supposed to be way over here somewhere, and whatever the people do, we're just stuck on some little island in Washington, D.C. We really never going to really engage with these people. What are they afraid of? And they're like, well, eventually maybe they're afraid you're going to grow. And we're like, oh, don't worry, we're not going to grow. We just know all we're supposed to do is provide a military, like a Navy, and all we're supposed to do is provide a uniform currency. That's all the United States is supposed to do. We're going to protect the borders, like with the Navy, and we're going to have control of import-exports like that through the Navy. And we're going to provide a common currency for all the states that, trade, interstate commerce. We're going to make it regulate commerce. Regulate commerce means just to make things run regular, like smoothly. That's the regulation of commerce, just to help them smoothly. So we don't have to go like in Europe. Every time we cross a border, we got to go through, check our passport and open a gate and pay this king a tax for bringing his goods through his territory. Then the next king wants something, and the next king wants a kickback. We're just going to leave open borders, and everybody's going to have a free flow of trade. That's all the federal government was supposed to do. It was so freaking tiny when it started, it was scary. So everybody's like, why are you afraid? We're so tiny. We're nothing. We're nobody. And then they said, well, why?
I don't think most people want anarchy. And of course, I want somebody who's going to fly a plane to be, with my butt in it, to be competent, or to do something like that, to be, that has, especially to put my life in their hands. I certainly want them to be competent. However, we've gotten to the point, like a license was never intended, for anybody operating outside of commerce. But they've totally gone overboard, and they've crossed the boundaries, and
because
that's why people have a problem.
The easiest way I explain to people is when this country first started. Okay, like the Constitution basically got signed at the end of the 1800s. Like say 1800, the country signed this Constitution. Okay, This country existed since 1500s. It's like 1492. People started settling, and so this country existed for 300 years before the Constitution. Now, people acted a different way 300 years ago. They understood if they owed a debt, they lived in little tiny colonies, and like the colonies were separated by, I don't care if it's 3 miles. To go 3 miles through the woods took you a week. So if the colonies were separated, like you look at the old maps, like, wow, these colonies were separated by hundreds of miles. So you understood that when you were inside this little society, in this little communal, like Jesus Christ, communist communal society, everybody had a certain role. Everybody had a certain job. Everybody had a certain duty and obligation. When that church bell rang 3 times, we all knew what to do. 2 times, we all knew what to do. 1 time, we all knew what to do. So if you were the baker in town, you said, well, look, I broke my leg, and I owe the guy who chops the wood in my bakery a whole bunch of money, and I can't get to work, so I'm just going to ask this man to forgive me of my trespass and forgive me of my debt. See, because the Catholics say, forgive those who trespass against us as I wish those who trespass against me. Now, the King James Version of the Bible, that the Pilgrims in the River Road say, forgive those that I debt against me as I wish them to forgive me of my debts. So when you read the Lord's Prayer, what the Pilgrims brought over here is forgive me of my debt. Because what was happening in England wouldn't forgive you for 1 penny debt. They'd ship your ass to Australia or Alaska. They'd ship your ass all over the world to pay back that penny, which made no sense. But it was a good way to get you in debtor's prison and become a slave, to go pay off that 1 penny debt. So when it came over here, this country was like, no. If somebody says, please forgive me my debt, you have to forgive them. You have no choice, because we depend on that baker. We depend on that log splitter guy. But if you owed money to that log splitter guy and you had the capacity to pay it, and you just said, you know what, I don't want to pay it, you know what? Nobody's going to give you flour to bake your bread. Nobody's going to give you, the whole community's going to turn their back on you because you're not an honorable person. You're not honoring your debt. You're not keeping your end of the bargain. Like I said, even like, say, like a Gilligan's Island. Mr. Howell might have been a billionaire, but he still washed dishes on Gilligan's Island. The women are like, look, do you want to eat tonight, billionaire? Your money ain't no good here. You get off your lazy ass and work like everybody else. That's what the Pilgrims had to deal with. Just everybody had to do what they had to do. Nowadays, if you screw your neighbor, you just don't talk to him anymore. Nowadays, if you don't pay off Macy's, you just go buy your stuff at JCPenney.
Well, that brings up something that I wanted to talk to you about, too, because on Angela's show, I was telling the story of how I had a surgery, and when I went into the checkup visit, the paper said, because I believe, that I have a right to contract and to negotiate a contract, and on the paper, it said, you agree to pay all fees due in 30 days. And I just lined through that and initialed it, and I consider that a negotiation to a contract. Number one, because I don't know what the fee is. For instance, I train dogs. If you brought me your dog, Karl, to work with, and I said, and I didn't tell you how much I was going to charge you, I just said, leave it with me for 30 days, and I'll give you the bill and the dog back at the end of 30 days. You would never agree to something like that. Number one, as far as this medical bill goes, I don't have insurance. I don't take any kind of welfare or food stamps or unemployment. I work for everything I have, and I think it's only, I can't afford to pay for a $34 aspirin.
Yeah,
Which is what you're going to charge somebody with insurance.
What I'm saying is this a hospital bill you're talking about that you're trying to settle or discharge or whatever? Is this a hospital bill you're talking about?
Well, no. Well, it was a doctor's, after the surgery, checkup visit, and I went, and it was a paper I had to fill out before I saw him, and so I did, and it was just a line on that paper that said, you agree to pay all charges at the end of 30 days, and I'm thinking, number one, I don't know what the charges are, I didn't say I ain't going to pay nobody.
Yeah.
But I also told them when I went to the hospital, I don't have insurance and I don't have, income.
Right.
And so that's just the way it is. I ain't trying to screw nobody. Like I said, I don't take nothing from nobody. I've been in business, working with people for 30 years face to face, and I've done it on a handshake, and they give me cash, and that's how much they trust me because I do try to be honorable. But I didn't think it would be prudent of me to sign a piece of paper from a doctor's office that says I'm going to guarantee to pay whatever you ask of me, which I don't know what it is, within 30 days. I think that would be foolish.
So what's the question? What's the question?
Well, because when I told that story, when I told that on Angela's show, she made the comment, "Oh, karma, boy," like I was trying to get out of paying a bill, and I wanted, I'm glad I had the opportunity to explain to you further that was not my intention at all to get out of paying a bill. I was trying to negotiate a contract.
If somebody tendered you a service and you believe that he was overcharging you, let's say he wanted $10,000 for an aspirin, you said that's totally ridiculous. I know how much it cost you. It cost you $1. Okay, you had to go to medical school. Okay, you have to pay for all these people. Okay, you have to pay for the air conditioning. You have to pay for the building. You have to pay for your home. You have to pay for your kids. You have to pay for your wife. Okay, I understand that $1 pill could be worth about $50. Okay, that makes sense. But $10,000? No, that's totally ridiculous. I'm not paying for this freaking hospital, But I understand why you had to bill me such a what it seems like an extraordinary amount for an aspirin, but people don't put it into all the other costs for the guy to diagnose it. All you really needed was an aspirin. All you needed was penicillin. So penicillin only cost 2 pennies for a gallon of penicillin. But to go in there to be diagnosed and to save your skin from rotting off your face was a 2-cent worth of remedy. You say, well, hell, why should I pay you $500 when the penicillin you gave me only cost $2? It's like, well, that's because there's a lot more services that went behind that other than just giving you 2 cents worth of penicillin to cure you. So I don't know if that's what you were saying, like you felt that was extraordinary, exorbitant because all he gave you was an aspirin. If that's what...
I'm saying most everyone knows how inflated, charges
the
hospital are.
I told you why, because it's a huge operating cost. Can you imagine running a building that big? My cousin owns a hospital with her husband. Could you imagine what it must cost them to build that building and invest in that building and get all the permits and the electricity and the contractors and all the nonsense they had to do to keep up with standards of communities and federal standards?
Well,
then,
maybe the pharmaceutical companies should put more into them because they're making that's $80 billion.
My cousin
$1 billion a year.
All right, my cousin and her husband decided to make their own little hospital. There you go. They did the Yankee Doodle private person way. Now, are you trying to say a mega corporation should tell her what kind of hospital she should make?
No, absolutely not. I'm all for,
Maybe they don't use pharmaceutical remedies. Maybe they use herbal.
Then
what kind of hospital? What I'm saying is, if you go to her hospital and she just goes click, click, twist your neck, it's like, oh my God, what a miracle worker. It's like, all you had was a little bursitis. And, if we just go click, click, and you get your husband to do this from now on for the next 2-3 weeks, you'll be good to go. That'll be $500. They're like, what? That's crazy. Okay, it's like you guys teaching you this law stuff. For me to do like my mom, when she filled out one thing, she wanted one sport of the state in a child procedure. Every time that guy wrote one piece of paper for her, he charged her $3,500. And it was all copy and paste from the guy. It was all their standard forms. All he did was put her name, his name, and send it to the clerk of the court. He got $3,500 from my mom. So this advice I'm giving you guys, should I say, okay, look, any lawyer would charge you $3,500. How much money you guys want to give me? And then I'll give you guys advice. How would you like to do this? So you got to understand there's a lot of operating costs. And what you guys just say, well, that was easy, Karl. Is that all you did? One sentence done? Yeah, one sentence done. Well, hell, you just should have got $1 million. Thanks, Karl. Yeah, bye-bye. Oh, did you forget to give me the guy who helped you? Yeah, you forgot. See, this is what I'm trying to say. There's always hidden costs in the services. And everybody's just like, well, that's ridiculous. We should get it for free. Well, this ain't Europe. We don't get things for free. This ain't a communist state. This is America, and people want to be compensated for an investment. And they got stockholders, and the stockholders invested into those hospitals, and they want a dividend every year. They want that hospital to turn a profit. Well, they're going to take their money out and invest it in another hospital that's going to turn a profit. It's America.
Right, and how they turn a profit? By sick people. That's part of the problem. If they quit making it sick, the same people that are building the hospitals, we wouldn't need such big hospitals and big fancy things. Like you say, your sister, she probably don't have no big fancy building or anything, and people think she's a miracle worker. You know, because it don't take a bunch of patented chemical stuff that they got people on, the stuff in the water and all that. You know, it makes people sick.
Like I said, man, that's it. Well, see, you know my website. It's birdline.org. You see, my water comes straight out of the mountain. So, and my food comes out of the cattle that walk past my front door. So, nobody gives me poison water. I have fresh air. Nobody lives within a mile of me. I have cattle. I got my own food, my own water. And who's poisoning me now? It's if you choose to live that style. That's your choice. I choose to live my style. Nobody's putting a gun to your head and saying you should drink that dirty water. Move up here in the mountains. There's plenty of them. Believe me. You want to put up a little home? Hey, God bless you, man. You know, hello, neighbor.
Well, I guess we can all move to the mountains, or like you said, we can all start changing the minds of the people who live around,
Well,
so that we don't have to pick up and all move to the mountains. You know, that I was born. You know, I was born where I live here, and I love it just about as much as you love the mountains.
It's all give
and I don't feel like I should let somebody come in and act like they're.
It's all give and take. What do you choose to do? It's all up to you. When you step out of the floor on the bed that morning, everything that happens once their feet hit that floor, it's all your fault. So until people start to understand, but as soon as you wake up and you choose to put those feet on the floor, everything is all on you. And until people understand that concept, people are going to be miserable. It's all on you. You make a left, you make a right. You sleep in, you just fall asleep until you die. You not get up and start this. What do you want to do? It's all on you. And people always want to blame somebody else. And me, I don't blame anybody. I love everything that's ever happened to me. Everything's been a wonderful learning experience. They said, oh, but they took your kid. Hey, it got me closer to God. Oh my God, I was such a lucky guy. They didn't understand for years why I was never getting upset. My kids, they're like, you're not normal, you're not natural. I said, God's got a reason for doing this to me. I don't know. I'm pretty well pissed off at God right now. Yeah, I'm a little upset. I kind of got